Welcome back. So you are still watching Newsfeed PM, the late edition. Let's get into our panel discussion. Of course, a little bit delayed tonight, but an important discussion nonetheless. And so you're welcome to be part of it. But this is what we're talking about. The MK party has sent a fact-finding delegation to white Afrikaans-only Kleinfontein settlement outside Pretoria today. Now, talks are centered around parts of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to self-determination for people with common cultural and language heritage. But to discuss this, we are joined by the MK Party's Chief Whip, Mr. Mzwanele Manyi, in studio with us. For joining us via video link is the Tshwane Human Settlements MMC, Mr. Maluleke. We're joined as well by the spokesperson for this particular town, Kleinfontein, Donnie de Beer, joining us. Thank you so much. And the Democratic Alliance also wanting to put some of their input forward, and they are represented by Bogiso Munye there, who is the spokesperson for economic development in Tshwane. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. A really interesting development, and I think we should start with the MK party, Mr. Manyi, because you did go about on this fact-finding mission. Let's talk to the genesis of it. What led you to wanting to do this? Why, and what is it that you primarily found?
Yeah, no, thank you very much for this opportunity. First, I must just thank the MPLs of the MK party in Gauteng. They raised this issue with the Premier on their Q&A on Rule 130 to deal with the issue of Kleinfontein, to make sure there are no apartheid enclaves as we perceive it, as it were. So that was the first thing. So followed to that, we then, as the MK party in Parliament, were, as a government in waiting. By the way, it's important for everybody to know that we are not an opposition party in the sense of the word of the DA, that we're a number two, that we're an opposition trying to correct the ANC, whatever they're doing. We are not in that space. We're a government soon to be. We're a government in waiting. We're contesting number one. So for us as the MK party, part of this was to talk to the stakeholders, to prepare them for us as the MK party as we take over. And part of that was to look into the Constitution and look at some of the clauses which are not properly understood. One of those clauses is Section 235 of self-determination. Now, that clause has been, let's just be nice, because as MK party, we're not the fighting party. We're adults. So we're saying, we think that people have misunderstood Section 235. That section does not create apartheid states. That section does not create whites-only area. That section was meant to actually ensure that all cultures are actually protected and all that. But we can't protect the one by excluding the other. So that's the thing. Now, we want to say to people of Kleinfontein, people of Oranje, people of Eureka, because they are constitutionalists, we want to say to them, they must look at they mustn't go very far. Start where the Constitution starts, at chapter 1. See that the issue of freedoms is guaranteed in chapter 1. It's one of the cornerstone values of this Constitution, the human dignity, equality. All of that is in chapter 1. And the importance of this being in chapter 1, although you can also find it in chapter 2 in the Bill of Rights, but the importance of finding it in chapter 1 is that any change that is in chapter 1 requires 75% majority, not the 2/3 that you find in the rest of the Constitution. In chapter 1, which just shows the weightiness of that chapter. And also in that chapter 1, there's a section there that deals with the supremacy of the Constitution, that any act or conduct not consistent with the Constitution is null and void. Now, to be here and being told about some agreement in Codesa, some agreement between the ANC sellout arrangement with the people in Codesa, all of those agreements must be tested against the Constitution as the Constitution stands. Now, we can't be held to ransom here because of some sellout agreement that would have happened before our time. We're not interested in that. We're interested in the rule of law, the Constitution as it currently stands. And as it stands, this Constitution, it does not want discrimination. It wants human dignity. Now, if I go to Kleinfontein today, I had a discussion here with Danny and Rian and all of that to say, if Manyi had to be in Kleinfontein, what would it take? Then they mentioned all kinds of things. A very elegant thing that in the sum total, because you're African, you can't be there. For instance, they would say, no, we don't discriminate on race, but we are here to make sure that our culture is preserved. So as long as you accept our culture, you accept our religion, you accept our whatever, you accept. So basically, for me to live in Kleinfontein, for me to live in Oranje, I must renounce myself, I must denounce myself, I must be out of myself, I must assimilate. Let me just complete this point.
Yes.
I must assimilate. I have a problem with this because then it means that their understanding of preservation of their culture means excluding other cultures. That's not what I mean, if Danny or Rian or any Afrikaner had to go to KZN, any place in Zululand, anywhere in there, they would be welcome. If they were to go to Eastern Cape, anywhere, they would be welcome. It doesn't matter whether it can go to Limpopo, they'll be welcome. Why can't I be welcome as who I am in Kleinfontein? Why can't I be welcome as who I am in Oranje? Why must I accept? Why must I assimilate? This is the problem.
Right.
So we're saying Section 235 of the Constitution must be amended. And the amendment is a very simple one. It's just to clarify that that section does not create an excuse for apartheid enclaves.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is what stands out. Again, you describe it as an apartheid enclave. Danny, I want to bring you in here. Thank you so much for making time for us. I mean, you, as well as Mr. Manyi, would have had a very busy day in conversation with each other, and perhaps we're able to get some nuggets from that discussion. Mr. Manyi talks about the right to self-determination in the Constitution not superseding, for instance, the importance of protecting human rights and freedoms and non-racialism, non-sexism and other parts that are raised in Section 1 of the Constitution. Firstly, Kleinfontein, would you describe it as an apartheid enclave? So as myself, Naledi Moleo, could I, as a black person, find space to live within the community of Kleinfontein?
Absolutely not. Apartheid and Kleinfontein can't even be mentioned in the same sentence. Apartheid is long dead, buried, will never ever return again. Kleinfontein is all about culture. It's not about race. And it's a pity that news has to grasp and confuse culture and race. If I dimmed my light right now, and you didn't see my face, and I presented myself as an Afrikaner, would you then have an issue with me if you couldn't see my skin color? Kleinfontein is not about skin color. It is not about race. Yes, it is absolutely about culture. The concept of joining apartheid and Oranje or Kleinfontein or any other settlement in one sentence, that is contradictory. How can you be in support of your culture and automatically a racist?
Okay.
That doesn't work.
So do answer this. I am Naledi Moleo, a black South African woman. Perhaps I may have some cultural similarities, but would I find a home living in Kleinfontein that would please or displease the people of Kleinfontein?
Naledi, you introduced yourself with your race first. Your race is irrelevant. You would present yourself as Naledi. I'm a full-blooded Afrikaner. I speak Afrikaans fluently. I love the Afrikaans people, and I want to live amongst Afrikaners. And then the answer would be, you're welcome. I do not know.
What is a full-blooded Afrikaner? What is a full-blooded Afrikaner? Describe a full-blooded Afrikaner for me.
I can easily describe a full-blooded Afrikaner as a person without using his race. It is somebody who speaks Afrikaans. It is somebody who has Afrikaans traditions, who has an Afrikaner heritage, perhaps has family, speaks Afrikaans as a first language. These are all positive components that make up a cultural entity like the Afrikaners. I think we should stop approaching things from a negative side. You start with what will prevent me. Rather ask what will enable you. And yes, with Mr. Manyi, we had a good day. We had a busy day. And we discussed a lot of topics.
Okay.
And amongst them, the race question came up, but was dealt with. It is not about race, it is about culture.
So I would need, just briefly, because what I'm hearing is I would need to describe myself as a full-blooded Afrikaner with love for the Afrikaans people. I mean, how...
And speak Afrikaans. Yeah, you see, what I really think that, firstly, I must give them a compliment for receiving us warmly and all of that, and with a mature discussion with the people of Kleinfontein. I want us to continue on that theme. If they go to the, I've quoted chapter 1 in the Constitution. Now I can even take you to chapter 2 on the section on equality. Subsection 3 lists all the things that you cannot discriminate on the basis of. One of them is race, sex, and this, but one of them is culture. So the point that he's making is not sustainable in terms of the Constitution in the Bill of Rights, because the Constitution says you cannot use the culture to exclude, and this is what they're doing. They're saying, no, we're not using race. Okay, tick a box, you're not using race, but you're using culture. You are saying I must be a full-blooded Afrikaner, I must love Afrikaans, I must assimilate in Afrikaans and all of that. So if I don't do that, then I'm not accepting that culture. And because I'm not accepting that culture, I'm excluded. And I'm arguing that the Constitution says you cannot exclude on the basis of culture. I don't want to lose my being an African for living in Kleinfontein. But Danny here is saying, for me to be accepted there, I must assimilate. Okay.
Well, look, we need to expand the discussion because not all of it is about culture and race. And that's why we've got the MMC for Human Settlements with us, Mr. Maluleka. Perhaps you can help us with this because for the local government, certainly in Tshwane, the issue of Kleinfontein is not just about race. For instance, you've got reports that the area has had its valuation changed. So the rates and taxes that are being paid by people in Kleinfontein are going to be seeing quite a leap as the area was raised from, valuated at 21 million rand to 291 million rand. What's the position of Tshwane on the legality of Kleinfontein and certainly the concerns that you are having with the community of Kleinfontein and how it's able then to sustain itself?
No, thanks, Naledi, and good evening to our esteemed panelists. And we are happy to partake in this important discussion. There's a court judgment that was issued in 2024 August that Mr. De Beer is aware of, that the court, the Pretoria North High Court, expressed itself with regard to the status of the township because for a number of years there were arguments whether the body that runs the township has submitted its papers with regard to the land use. And in the discussions and the debate that ensued in court, it was very clear that there were no submissions that were made and approvals. Then in our observation and what occurred, we have classified Kleinfontein as an illegal township.
Okay, what was not submitted? MMC, give me clarity of what you say is not submitted, because I see Donnie shaking his head, and I'll give him an opportunity to respond. So what in some of their documentation is simply not there that the municipality needs?
Then, in a simple language, Naledi, they are an informal settlement. And they've accepted in court. It's not me, but if you were to read the court papers, Kleinfontein, we are supposed to take legal action against the founders of the body that runs Kleinfontein. But because we're a government that believe in engagement, we've opened ourselves to engaging parties that took each other to court. Because of Tshwane was a respondent in the matter. Therefore, there are two groups. One that wanted to stop illegality that was taking place in the township. Yep. And court found against them, and Tshwane was ordered to take action against the illegal activities that are taking place with regard to building plans and other services that they've connected themselves, because in the long run, there will be degradation of environment, there will be contamination of underground water, because of people are using septic tanks that are not approved by council. And where we are now, we engaged one group, I think at the end of last year. We're going to do the same through the deputy mayor, because at the end of the day, Kleinfontein was zoned agriculture. And it can't be that people are having properties. It needs to be properly zoned, so that we can then be able to collect our rates and taxes. We've lost millions and millions of rents. But in actual essence, we want to work with the community there to make sure that we are collecting what is due to the city. Because we need that money to build social infrastructure for many communities, including them in the Kleinfontein area.
All right, Donnie De Beer shaking his head. We're going to give him an opportunity to respond on this other side of the break. But we're opening up the lines as well for you at home. Give us a call, 01059460010, as we zoom in on Kleinfontein, a community in Tshwane, that today saw a visit by the MK party as they visited what is seen as a whites-only settlement. Of course, Donnie's saying that no, this is a cultural self-determination growth point. But that's not the only challenge that they're facing around who it is that's allowed to self-determine with them. Another one is, of course, the city's perspective on them. This is after a judgment in the court last year. In fact, it was acting Judge Adrian Forster who found that the directors of a Kleinfontein Andele block were acting illegally in allowing the use of land without adhering to the requirements as set out in law. So, lots to discuss there. 01059460010. More on the other side of this. Welcome back. We continue talking about Kleinfontein in Tshwane. Is it a whites-only settlement? Is it a space that is, as they describe it, a growth point for Afrikaans self-determination? Or is it a place that sees exclusion of some people, some members of our society? And of course, some of the issues that it has now with the municipality in Tshwane saying that the town is being established illegally as that area there was demarcated, in fact, for agricultural use. A range of speakers that we've got with us, but we're taking one or two calls. 01059460010. Charles is in Johannesburg. Charles, good evening. Thanks for calling.
Yes, ma'am. Good. How are you?
Well, sir. Talk to me.
I'm sitting here and I'm watching you guys there, and I'm like, I think it's time the South African government, I'm not going to say the ANC government, I'm going to say the South African government, to put a stop on this thing of these small Afrikaans communities in the country. It's starting to irritate. It's starting to irritate me. It's starting to irritate us. It must start with Orania.
So what do you want to see being done? And what do you say to the argument that says, well, they have a right to self-determine, Charles?
For me, if these people don't want to live with us in the country, the same country, they must take their bags and go wherever they think they're going to be safe or be staying alone and speak their own language. South Africa is for all of us. It's for everybody who live in it.
All right, Charles.
Anyone who's not happy to stay with everybody, with black, colours and Indians, must just see where to go, but not in the country.
Charles in Johannesburg.
It irritates everybody now. It's irritating me.
Charles in Johannesburg, we appreciate your call. I want to bring in the Democratic Alliance's spokesperson here, Boriso Mtimunye, who's joined us. Of course, Boriso is the spokesperson for economic development for the Democratic Alliance in Tshwane. Boriso, the position of the DA, you've heard the city saying they should not be there. This area is zoned for agricultural land. What's the position of DA in Tshwane when it comes to this town that is Kleinfontein? What needs to happen?
To the extent that that the city phrases it with regards to land zoning rights, we completely agree. And this is a problem we have across the city, even in township areas and other areas where we actually have people who are operating either residential in an agricultural zone or business in a residential zone. And what normally happens is that they would pay rates that are much lower than the zones that they are accredited for. So to that extent, we do have a motion as the DA on the council agenda this Thursday to discuss the establishment of the Strategic Land Development Tribunal in the city of Tshwane to deal with this issue. I must say, it is not a Kleinfontein issue. It is a city of Tshwane issue. There are places like Bloemfontein, there's Mushate Gardens in Haramko, where I'm from, where people buy land that's zoned for a particular area and do something else. So to that extent, we agree with the city completely that land must be used for what it is zoned for. But now come to deal with the more pressing issue narrative of self-determination and where we stand on that. I think we agree to the section that in 235 of the Constitution. That section has two sections. The one part speaks about the self-determination of the nation. So there's one nation, which is the South African nation. That's the only nation that can self-determine. But then within, it speaks about the recognition of cultural communities. And that we technically don't have a problem with. We don't have a problem with a cultural community that is defining itself based on that section as a cultural community. But if they are going to do so, it should not be exclusive on the basis of race. We're very clear on that. And it should be done within the laws of the zoning in the area. And that is our challenge. So we don't have a problem with a cultural group staying together or arranging themselves together. That we don't have an issue with that. What we have an issue with is people not adhering to zoning.
Okay.
And not adhering and not to the city what is true. Thanks, Nana.
All right, thanks for that. Donnie, yeah, go ahead, Donnie, go ahead. There's a lot to respond to. Are you there illegally? Go ahead.
No. We have an active and pending application that has been running since 2011 with the various authorities. We've had Kungwini, we've had Mzwanele, we've had Tshwane. We've supplied documents, submissions, wetland investigations, zoning, planning, the whole lot, folders and folders and files. And every time when we are close to reaching that final end, where we get the stamp of approval and the correct zoning, as Mr. Maluleka has said, then something changes. For example, the DFA law, which we were applying under, it expired 2 weeks prior to our very, very last tribunal. We've had meetings with 4 different sets of mayors. Every year we try the different mayor. Then there is a new set of rules. We've had discussions with Deputy Mayor Modise. On the 10th of December, we were in his office and say, have a look here. Here's our active and pending application. As late as last year, in May, the city of Tshwane responded to our rezoning application. I even remember the email. Brenda Seloka replied to it and said we need to address the following issues. So there's no question of illegality. There's a question of our township rezoning application has not successfully been completed.
Right.
And we are unable to complete it without assistance, cooperation of institutions of local government. And that's where we are currently facing that issue.
Yeah, I mean, the challenges, it seems, compounding on Kleinfontein, truly stacking up.
And we've been made an example of.
Okay.
And that is not fair.
Okay.
Especially in terms of taxes. In 1 month, one property was raised from 855,000 to 35 million in 1 month. How is a community, a self-sustaining community like ourselves, supposed to raise 35 million in 1 month? We're not wealthy developers. We don't have the Baldwins here. We don't have the Oppenheimers here. We are Afrikaners doing our own thing. The MK have seen today a sewage system built by ourselves, a water purification system built by ourselves. We are not millionaires and billionaires.
Okay.
All we ask for is a rightful chance for a place in the sun for ourselves.
Mr. Manyi, Donnie says we can't afford the 35 million rand or the hike that we see in valuations, but the city, the MMC says essentially Kleinfontein, and he used the words, essentially it is an informal settlement.
No, it is. I think, you see, we need to have a government that is going to treat everyone equally. And I'm not saying they must go and send red ants there like they do to the African communities. If Kleinfontein was the Africans that decided to do what they've done, they would have sent bulldozers there to flatten that place down. They've done it in many places in the Gauteng. The ANC government has done it even in the Eastern Cape. Well-built houses with tile roof and all. So we're saying this is the kind of government that we have that hates African people. We have a problem with this ANC government that hates Africans, that has got no respect for Africans. That's the first thing. The second thing with the DHP here, I think you must read the Constitution properly. That section 235 has got no 2 sections. It's actually 1 sentence, 1 long paragraph sentence. when it starts, that section, it starts with the issue of self-determination of a nation as a whole. Then it goes all the way somewhere at the end, one sentence only, so one sentence clause this, somewhere at the end, talk to the issue of basically embracing communities and cultures and so on, and all of that.
But we are saying the same thing.
But we are saying...
I'm saying what you're saying.
Okay, but just a second.
But what we are saying is that embracing of culture, it's in the same sentence. It's in the same sentence. But that embracing of culture cannot trump the values of the Constitution in Chapter 1.
Okay.
And I'm saying the values of the Constitution in Chapter 1 that allow for freedom, that allows for freedom of association, all kinds of freedoms, human dignity, and all of that. The reason Chapter 1 can only be amended by 75% is the weight of that Chapter 1. So we can't have that Chapter 1 subjected to the misinterpretation of the DA.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm running out of time. I need to get final thoughts, and I'm going to give 30 seconds to each of you. Boris, so I'll let you go first. 30 seconds, what needs to happen now?
The biggest problem is with the city. The city is very slow in approving developments. It is very slow in its processes, and the city is losing a lot of revenue.
Okay.
It is simply targeting Kleinfontein, and there are many such establishments, even in non-township areas. But we also say no to any type of racial exclusion. That's very important.
All right. MMC, final thoughts, 30 seconds. What now?
No, thanks, Naledi. I am drawn to the criticism of the ANC instead of focusing on the discussion by Mr. Manyi, which is very unfortunate because we are dealing here with making sure that as a local authority, because the very same section that is tried to mention there, it speaks about the framework, the legal framework that needs to be determined by municipality or the other three spheres of government. Therefore, will not allow any exclusion of any race by another, which we have a role in ensuring that our approvals are approvals that are inclusive of all race groups that are found in the country. Mr. Manyi overlooked that section and goes on and bashing the ANC, which is very unfortunate.
Okay.
We are going to enforce our laws. We are going to make sure that we work with the community of Kleinfontein to regularize them. Because like Puriso, he was saying that we have a backlog. It's a backlog that was created by the DA in the last 8 years. They were not approving.
Okay.
Many of the townships, they were not taking action.
All right,
in terms
I'm out of time.
Invasion and other things.
I'm out of time, Mr. Maluleka. I need to give Donnie a final say.
And collect rates and taxes. Thank you.
Okay, Donnie, final say. Guys, please, an opportunity. Donnie, final say.
I welcome the MMC's commitment to take hold of Kleinfontein, take hold of a problem, make it a solution, and finalize, regularize, and formalize the township as soon as possible. We look forward at discussions. We look forward at seeing you in your office with the deputy mayor or anybody else. Let's get this fixed.
Okay, 20 seconds.
The ANC could not do this in 30 years. They can't do it now. This is why we need the MK party. That's why we have the private members bill to sort this mess out. The time for MK is now.
Okay.
ANC has given up.
All right, let's go back to the discussion, and of course we'll wrap it up there. I think this is an important one. As we start to see this issue of self-determination coming up more and more in various parts of the country. So continue to interact with us on X at Newzroom 405. Thanks so much to Mr. Mzwanele Manyi, the party chief whip there for Umkhonto weSizwe Party, Aaron Maluleke, MMC for Human Settlements in Tshwane, Donnie De Beer, spokesperson for Kleinfontein, and Boriso Mtimunye there, who is the DA Tshwane spokesperson for economic development. A lively discussion indeed. We take a short break. More news on the other side of this, though.